and welcome to another edition of the House Whisperer Show on WWDB Talk 860 and WWDBAM.com. I'm Barry Reisman, inviting you to stay tuned for expert advice about maintaining your house from the roof to the basement, featuring professional home inspector Jack Milne. He talks to houses and he hears what they have to say. He's amazing. Jack, how you doing? Welcome back to WWDB. Glad to have you here.
Well, thank you, Barry. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you as well as my listeners on a Sunday afternoon.
You've got a very important topic today, and everybody better pay attention to this one.
Well, thank you, Barry. It's, my little tagline is where every house has a story, and as a home inspector, I try to do what I can on a daily basis to try and lower operating costs. And this is a great topic. It's with winter being around the corner, heating bills are expected to rise. And what can we do about that? So before we kick in, Barry, I'd like to thank the sponsors. Last week, I actually had an opportunity to hear from Rob Bowie from Bucksmont Inspections. And he threw out his cell phone number. I'm going to give it to you as well. Again, 215-669-4213. The man is a guru when it comes to on-site sewage systems evaluation as well as design. Pest Blaster, again, you heard from Mike Cantor a week or so, 2 weeks ago maybe now, about how to tighten up your home to keep rodents out. His phone number is 215-295-5555. In a few weeks, we're going to be hearing from Rob Bruno from Burrow Exterminating, and we're going to talk about termite and radon testing, especially now because you think that termites are going away because it's cold out. Not a chance. 610-586-5640. BrainFleshGear.com. Kevin Zolna, he is like the director and art creator of BrainFleshGear.com. He promised he would come on the air as well. I think that'll be a very interesting show. A little bit off topic, but so is their work. And then finally, my company, Tri-County Inspection Company, serving 13 counties for almost 30 years. 215-295-2030 is the office line for Bucks and Montgomery County. South Jersey, 856-853-4224. I always ask that you visit the website at tcinspect.com. With our email box, Elizabeth from South Philly. I heard your show about mice last month. I wanted to say I followed Mike's lead and sealed everything that I thought where mice may enter. I even put the dog food in the upper cabinet. Thanks for the good info. And always, Elizabeth, thank you for responding back. Just tell your friends about the show. It's good stuff, really for every homeowner. And I'm going to dedicate next week's show on all questions that I've gotten from my listeners. So if you want to reach out to me, please do so. My email is thehousewhispershow@gmail.com, and the website is thehousewhispershow.com. And one thing I really enjoy about WWDB is that they also podcast the shows. So if you can't listen to it today at 2:30, then, you got all week to take that moment and cue it in, and you can hear my voice when it's most convenient for you. If you'd like to sponsor the show, please contact me at 215-295-2030. I really look for people who deal with home maintenance and consumer really protection. What we can do to make our houses work better and at the same time lower our operating costs. So let's dive into today's topic. Again, heating bills are expected to rise. What can we do? And the first thing I have is don't panic, okay? Listen in, and if you do what I tell you to do, you can save money, but keep in mind it may take a few dollars of yours to do so. It's that old saying, sometimes that you have to spend money to make money. And if you listen in, I can guarantee you I can drop your costs probably about 12 to 15%, maybe a little bit more, but it all depends on how far you want to go. As to background, the government forecast expects that 90% of U.S. homes will have higher bills with increases across the board, and with natural gas having the biggest jump. And why is that? Well, for years, the U.S. government, has been really keeping the cost of natural gas down in order to get people excited because natural gas is not shipped in, it's not imported. We make it here in the States. And so it's very easily accessible. And with the higher efficiencies that we can get from gas versus oil, and even propane sometimes, and electric, well, they've made it affordable. But now it's like any other thing. It's time to pay the piper. And the one thing I do like about gas, though, is not as speculative as it is, since we're dealing with a lot of the Middle Eastern countries and things like that. But you've probably also have heard about fracking. And fracking is a process where drills used to go down just straight down. Well, fracking, these drills now make left turns and right turns and can actually pull natural gas from all these little crevices. The good news is it's making things much more abundant. In fact, I heard something recently where the United States may be 100% self-reliant with their natural gas and oil by 2035. Granted, it's not around the corner, but we're also not going to be 1973 and 1980 anymore either. We may actually become an exporter of natural gas and oil. Texas, North Dakota, and Oklahoma, roughly 50 billion gallons of fuel oil and natural gas is readily available. In fact, Texas right now has more oil and gas than Alaska. What's really has brought this around is the technology that we didn't have 30 and 40 years ago. But natural gas, guys, I'm telling you, it's expected to rise 13%, or on average $679 for the average home. So that, for a person who owns an oil tank, that's about one tank of oil or 275 gallons of fuel is what you're going to spend for that $679. So you're still ahead of the game, but at the same time, 13% is 13%. Energy Department's winter season starts in October and lasts through March. Okay, now that's a pretty big time frame. I usually think of winter starting right after Halloween, which is November 1st, and going to mid-March. So we're not that far off. By the way, according to the department, the last 2 years have been historically low prices, so now, again, it's our turn to pay the price. By the way, 50% of the United States is gas-fed. I thought that was a great number. I didn't think it was quite that much, but I'm impressed. For electric, you're only going up 2%. Okay, so not too bad for those of you who own heat pumps. And roughly 39% of the country is electric fed. Now, they're going to pay on average about $2,100 for the season. This will be the second highest season behind last year, where most of the bills were roughly $2,000 for the season. So you're only going up $100, but still $2,000 for how many months, Barry? 5 months? $400 a month. In warm areas where heating demand is not as high, how about the great Northeast? The demand for heat pumps is really at an all-time high. So if you had oil and you need an alternative, a lot of people now are starting to switch over to heat pumps. And we had a show not too long ago that also talked about propane. But again, we're no longer in the era of the 1980 heat pump that, initially came from North Carolina. They moved them up here. They were easy for the builder to put in. You didn't have to run gas lines, didn't need chimneys. You plugged it in. You had heating and cooling. So right now we're looking at SEER ratings of 16 to 18. So they're much more efficient than where they had been. This is an interesting number. 6% of U.S. homes use fuel oil. Those homes tend to be in the colder regions, like New York, Pennsylvania, New England, where heating needs are high. And there could be a spike in heating oil, and as well as, both diesel fuel and jet fuel. So you can see how oil prices, again, are cognizant of the market. look at what we're paying now to fly. And diesel, I know I have a diesel vehicle, and it always seems to be hovering between at least, $3.80 and $4 a gallon in Pennsylvania. Everything, of course, is a little bit cheaper in New Jersey. The Energy Department expects that this winter will be about 3% colder, resulting in a 3% increase of heating oil. So they're predicting a colder winter over the last couple of years, but the good news is it's nothing compared to the harsh winter that we had about 2 years ago. There's always hints, like if you're an oil-fired home, why not buy your oil in the summer when costs are lower? And I think we tend to forget about it. And plus, we probably just got done paying that last heating bill. And the last thing we want to think about is filling the tank again. I say you do shop around, but I think it's very important, and I'm stressing that a second time, that you have to maintain a service contract on your oil-fired furnace or boiler.
Well, I tell you what, on that note, let's take a break and come back and talk more about saving money on our heating bills and the different kinds of heat. There's oil, there's electric, there's gas, there's wearing a warm coat. You didn't say that. But we'll come right back. We're talking to Jack Milne, the House Whisperer, and you're listening to the House Whisperer Show on WWDB, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Boro Exterminating has been specializing in wood-destroying insect inspection and control for over 40 years, serving Philadelphia and the surrounding counties. All inspectors are state certified and ensure providing their clients with professional inspections and treatments. Boro not only performs conventional termite treatments, but also handles special services like historic buildings and homes with wells, creeks, or ponds. The client is assured that all treatments will be performed safely when you hire Boro to do the work. They also provide radon testing in their service area. Boro's full-time office staff is available to help you schedule an appointment. Just call 610-586-5640 or send an email request to boroinspects@verizon.net. That's 610-586-5640 or email at boroinspects@verizon.net.
Specially created t-shirts by BrainFlushGear.com offer the extreme sports enthusiast an opportunity to have a clothing line available that suits their sport. BrainFlushGear.com understands that when we get the moment where we can jump on our motorcycles, wave runners, surfboards, snowmobiles, or skateboards, it can be priceless. They offer custom artwork including silk screening, transfers, and embroidery. Speak to one of their consultants today and they'll help you create your own Brain Flush. Visit BrainFlushGear.com or email them at contact@BrainFlushGear.com.
For your septic inspection and testing needs, please consider Bucksmont Inspections. They've been serving the Bucks and Montgomery County areas for over 15 years. As members of the Pennsylvania Septic Management Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Sewage Enforcement Officers, and the Pennsylvania Association for Professional Soil Scientists, Bucksmont Inspections can inspect your existing septic system or test for your new septic system placement. Please call Rob Bowie at 215-669-4213 and say you heard their ad on the House Whisperer Show.
As the weather gets cooler and the temperatures drop, the bugs might slow down, but the rodents don't stop. Mice and rats begin to invade homes during the fall and winter months, looking for food, warmth, and a comfortable place to nest. Don't wait for pesky rodents to invade your home. Fight back. Have your home baited and ready for their attack with Pest Blaster. Whether preventative or a full-blown infestation, give Pest Blaster a call at 215-295-5555 and they can discuss the solution to your problem. They also offer humane animal removal services for a wide variety of wild animals, damage repairs, and cleanups. Call them today at 215-295-5555 or check them out at pestblaster.com, servicing both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Pest Blaster, 215-295-5555 or pestblaster.com for all your pest control needs.
Tri-County Inspection Company has been providing professional home inspections, commercial inspections, and historic property evaluations for over 25 years. Tri-County Inspection Company covers 13 counties, serving both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. They've performed inspections for over 70,000 clients and are members of the American Society of Home Inspectors, as well as the Pennsylvania Home Inspectors Coalition. They are licensed in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. For all of your real estate transactions, call Tri-County Inspections at 215-295-2030. For their New Jersey clientele, call 856-853-4224. In PA, call 215-295-2030. In New Jersey, 856-853-4224.
And we are back with Jack Milne, the House Whisperer at WWDB. Today's topic is very, very important. I am listening to every word he says, and I hope you are too. It's about saving money on your heating bill.
Well, welcome back. So, Mr. House Whisperer, what do we do? So the first segment is what is to be expected. This portion of the show is what we can do to try to bring the costs down. Before we went to a commercial break, we talked about having a service contract with anything that deals with oil. And again, the reason for that is oil is a thick fuel and it's dispersed in a nozzle. Every year, that nozzle has to be replaced for optimum efficiency. The best that oil can burn is about 85%. It does drop about 5% over the course of the year. So the last thing you want to do is not replace it, because if you don't, you're going to drop 5% more. So make sure you have a service contract that warrants not only the replacement of the nozzle, but please check the flue liner too, as to where it penetrates the chimney and the length of that flue liner. So in bold letters, let me say it this way: there's with signs across the sky on every billboard on 95, 295, and the Schuylkill Expressway, they should all read the word insulate. Every home, every home, should have a minimum of at least 9 inches to preferably 12 inches of insulation in their attics. Now, if your house was built before World War II, they were not insulated. If they were insulated, maybe around your windows, you were lucky to get some fabric or rags or something that you could kind of tuck in and try to keep the drafts out. But if you do not have an attic access in your home, I would ask that you make one. If you have a low-sloped house or roof line on your home, go to the master bedroom closet if your eave box is in the back of the house. If the eave box is in the front of the home where your roof drains, go to the back of the house. But create an opening so that you can get a head and an arm up there to see what kind of insulation you have. It's not that difficult to blow in insulation and at the same time ventilate. So we talked about adding turbines and insulation a couple episodes ago. But at the same time, look, and this is the time to do it. Balloon framing. Now, those were homes that were popular in the early 1900s. And this is where the train would literally drop off your studs and all your framing lumber on your lot or near the lot, and your studs were 17 feet long. So you have a stud that runs from the basement to the attic, and if you don't insulate those outside walls, it's a huge chimney effect. So all the heat that you're trying to create off your furnace or your boiler is getting sucked up to the attic. So you've got to be able to insulate the bottom part of the basement as well as the top part in the attic, so you don't have this natural drafting effect where you're going to lose money. So if you're in a 1700s home, 1800s home, and into the early 1910s or so, your house is balloon framed. So you should call out an insulation contractor and see methods that are best to try to cut that draft down. And that was my point. When was the last time that you looked into your attic? In 1987, when I bought my home, which was built in 1968, the seller went through 7 tanks of fuel oil, 275 gallons, over the previous year. In today's dollars, if oil is $4 a gallon at 275 gallons, that's about $1,100 per fill, and you multiply that by 7 times, and all of a sudden, my seller was spending the equivalent of $7,700 in today's dollars for the year. I spent $1,200 to insulate my attic. So maybe in today's dollars, it would be $1,500 to do what I did. And it saved me roughly 3 tanks of fuel oil, or roughly $3,300 in today's money. So I tell my clients, when you re-insulate your attic, you're going to realize probably about a year and a half to a 2-year payback. And like I said in the beginning of the show, you're going to have to spend some money to save a lot of money. And that's where you have to focus. If you're a heat pump home, you not only want to insulate the attic, but you should also insulate the floor joists and the box beam in the basement. And please don't forget the attic hatch, as well as pull down stairs. Now, I'm not a big pull down stair guy, because imagine putting 12 inches of insulation in your attic, which is an R40, and then as you pull down that door, you've got a 1/4-inch piece of plywood that's separating you from that well-insulated space. So the best thing you can do is buy one of those little insulated hatch covers, which gives you an R factor of 5.5. Now compare that to an R factor of 40. So I try to encourage my clients, especially in their main attic over their bedrooms, to take out the pull-down stair, put in a piece of 3/4-inch AC plywood or drywall, and then glue the insulation to the hatch. This way, you have a complete thermal barrier across your ceilings. So if you need pull-down stairs, stick them in your garage, but you should never, ever insulate in the attic over your bedroom, because all that's going to do is increase your costs. Now, what does plywood do? All that's going to do is compress your insulation and lower your efficiency rating. So if you have 12 inches in your attic and then you press it down to a 2x6, well, you just took your insulation from an R40 to an R19, which was good for a house built prior to 1970. So R factors, to describe that, think of a piece of glass. A piece of glass has an R factor of 1. So if you have an R19, well, that's like, the air hitting against that glass 19 times. If you have an R factor of 40, it's 40 times. So it's incredible how much you can save. The other thing is, if you have a garage that's, let's say, under your living room or your dining room, make sure you insulate those joist bays too. A lot of our inner city homes aren't insulated there, and people wonder why they have cold floors. So crawl spaces need to be insulated. Now, if you can't put in bad insulation on your own, you can always use blown-in insulation, and it comes with a machine. I understand you can rent these things at the box hardware stores, but if you don't know what you're doing, I would suggest that you let the pros do this. Any insulation that you do add does not and cannot have a second vapor barrier, because otherwise all that's going to do is keep the moisture in the home and can breed mold. So you have to be careful. No second vapor barrier. In the box beam, or if you have a crawl space, 6 inches of craft face insulation with the paper facing you. So people sometimes don't like to see the Pink Panther looking down at you, especially at the crawl space. But I'll tell you what, that's the appropriate way of putting it in. So the paper wants to face the heated surface. Again, attic stairs. If you have to live with them, those attic stair covers run about $25. So it's not a lot, but it can make a difference. Now, if you have a low-sloped roof, you have to still maintain a gap between the insulation and the roof deck. If you foam in your rafter bays, it can lead to roof rot. So we don't insulate rafters. We only insulate the ceilings. If you have a Cape Cod home, you might have to cheat a little bit and insulate the slants, but they do make air baffles for that purpose, so that you can leave at least some type of an airflow between the lower knee walls and the upper portions of the attic. one thing I was surprised about is when I got into my attic, my stairwell wasn't insulated. So I put loose fill in there, and what a tremendous difference that made. You could feel the temperature difference as you climbed the steps getting to my second floor. So I literally bought bags of loose fill insulation and dumped it in there. Chimney chases, another popular space where people don't insulate. And I can't tell you how many gaps there are in your attic that I see on a daily basis. So you got pipes, you've got wires, chimney chases. All these areas should be sealed with insulation. So there's a few things I want you to remember. That, one, the moment you insulate, you will feel an increase in comfort both winter and summer. It's not anything that you have to wait to feel the effect. The attic temperature can vary more than 100 degrees between winter and summer. And that space is right over your head. So you want as good of a thermal barrier as possible. And I know this topic was on winter, but hey, let's save you some money over the summer too. Once again, the payback in hard dollars, okay, to insulate will be roughly 18 months to 2 years. So after that, I consider it free. Now, tell me this, what other investment that offers this kind of payback after 2 years is available? And what I see is that this money now becomes discretionary income. So if I can save you $500, $700, $800 a year, all of a sudden that's in your pocket. Finally, next week, as I said earlier, I'm going to dedicate that show to the email box. I get a lot of questions, Jack, what would you do if, or what would you do here or there? And so I'm going to take probably 10 good questions and be able to post them out there over the air so that, I may help 10 people. And I know I've kind of cut back on that a little bit because I've had my sponsors on the air. But again, next week's your show. So my last piece of advice is for this insulating, do it now because winter's here before you know it. And then finally, I ask everybody, please listen to The House Whisperer every Sunday from 2:30 to 3 and on podcast all week. And I will keep you and your house in proper working order. So, as it is Sunday, please spend time with friends and family, and I look forward to talking to you next week.
Very fine house with 2 cats in the yard. Life used to be so hard. Now everything is easy 'cause of you.